technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Welcome into your 3 o'clock news report. I'm your host, Elijah Ford. The Vancouver International Film Festival is diving into the origins of Halloween with its new showings. Reporter Orchid Salang takes a look at the Irish roots behind the spooky season.
Halloween may be known today for costumes and candy, but its roots go back over 2,000 years to an ancient Celtic festival called Samhain, marking the end of the harvest and start of winter. Here in Vancouver, the VIF and Consulate General of Ireland have teamed up to honor Halloween's Irish heritage with a film festival. Samhain, Roots of Halloween, consists of 5 films that highlight Ireland's storytelling traditions and Irish filmmakers. Consulate General of Ireland, Kathy Gagan, says the celebration carries special meaning here in Canada.
It's always a very powerful thing to say that this has actually came from Ireland, but also something that's very resonant here in Canada. So about 15% of the population of Canada have Irish heritage. So there's very strong and deep ties between our countries.
With Halloween fast approaching, it's a reminder that costumes, trick-or-treating, and other traditions of the celebration have roots that reach all the way back to Ireland and continue to find new life here in Canada. Orchid Salang, BCIT News.
Our digital reporter, Emma Bolzner, spoke to Andrew Trittis, a marine mammal researcher at UBC. He spoke about the impacts of high-speed vessels on BC's humpback whale population.
They used to be here, and then the Pacific Whaling Company arrived and in 1907 started to set up shop to remove whales in the wintertime. And within 3 years, they killed every last one.
This comes after a BC whale watching company reported their vessel led to the death of a humpback whale on Tuesday. The city of Surrey is renaming one of its parks after concerns were raised by residents of Japanese descent. The city says Senator Reid Park will now be known as North Ridge Park. The park opened in the 90s and was named after Senator Thomas Reid, who the city says played a key role in injustices against Canadians of Japanese descent before, during, and after the Second World War. Laurie Cavan, General Manager of Parks, Recreation and Culture, says in a statement that it's important to listen to community feedback and ensure parks and facilities reflect the city's values. A staff sergeant with Langley RCMP has been convicted of assaulting a suspect in 2022 after a judge found the officer used force out of anger and frustration and not safety concerns as he claimed. A BC Supreme Court judge ruled Damien Volk assaulted Dalibor Kuzmanovic at the Langley detachment after Kuzmanovic was arrested for an alleged theft from a Home Depot. The ruling says Volk and Kuzmanovic exchanged words before the officer grabbed him and took him down to the ground. Volk said the man was irate, but Justice John Gibb Carsley rejected that claim after watching camera footage and hearing testimony from another officer who called Kuzmanovic cooperative before the assault. Unionized workers with the District of Squamish are back on the job after nearly a 2-week lockout for certain members. The district and QP 2269 say workers have voted to ratify a tentative agreement struck earlier this week. Squamish Mayor Armand Herford says he is relieved and hopes the agreement conveys the message that unionized workers are integral to the district's ability to deliver services in the community while balancing the impact on taxpayers. The federal government is spending $3.8 million to support Black entrepreneurs and businesses across BC. Housing and Infrastructure Minister Gregor Robertson says the Black Entrepreneurship Program Ecosystem Fund helps with business acceleration, financial planning, business development, and advisory services. Ottawa says the fund has provided support to more than 24,000 businesses since its launch in 2021. Students are rallying at the Alberta legislature in protest of the province's decision to order striking teachers back to work. Matilda Barron was one of the hundreds who came out to demand better support for public schools.
For us, it's not playing hooky. This is like our future that we're talking about. It's more important than missing one day of classes. Like, to come here and to try and have our voices heard, that's really what matters the most. I can catch up on school, but I can't catch up on this.
The protest comes after Premier Danielle Smith's government severely curtailed debate rules to pass through a bill in the House in just hours that ordered 51,000 teachers back to work. King Charles has stripped Prince Andrew of his title, meaning he will just be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. For years, Andrew has faced sexual misconduct allegations since his relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was revealed. Patrick Revell reports.
Pressure has been growing around Andrew over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and the allegations from Virginia Giuffre, who accused him of having sex with her. He has always denied those allegations, but this is a pretty extraordinary step for the royal family to have taken against him.
Windsor will move from his Royal Lodge residence into, quote, private accommodation. The MP overseeing Canada's foreign aid is announcing $7 million in humanitarian relief for Caribbean states hit by Hurricane Melissa. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says Canada could provide logistical support, but countries have not yet asked for that.
The request from Jamaica has been for humanitarian aid. That is what we are stepping up to provide. There has been no request for the Canadian Armed Forces at this time. We, of course, are standing ready 24/7 to assist in ways that are requested.
Ottawa has funded programs meant to help countries like Jamaica cope with natural disasters through emergency planning and logistics. The Transportation Safety Board says a pilot's response to a loss of engine power led to a crash that killed a passenger on a sightseeing flight in the Yukon last year. The board says the pilot tried to restart the engine, then initiated a 180-degree turn to align with the runway, but the plane entered a stall before crashing and landing upside down. The board says its investigation found the pilot had routinely relied on memory in his day-to-day operations, and his attempt to restart the engine after losing power did not follow the manufacturer's in-flight procedures or pre-landing checklist. With recent bans in the Olympics, inclusive teams for queer athletes give people a safe space to play sports. Keone Mo has more on the story.
Transgender women were banned earlier this year by the Olympics, showing inclusive spaces are more important than ever. The Gay Games is an exclusively queer sporting event akin to the Olympics. In a press release, the Federation of Gay Games states they will continue to stand firmly in allowing all athletes to participate and compete in the sports that they wish. Inclusive sports teams like the Vancouver Rogues rugby team are where it starts. Brandon C. plays on the Rogues. He says that there should be teams like this worldwide.
I think it's very important for every country or city to have queer teams and such, because it's a place where you can feel comfortable to be yourself without having been judged.
The Gay Games will be held in Valencia, Spain, 2026. Keone Mo, BCIT News.
Fans of the CFL's Saskatchewan Roughriders could soon be allowed to do some pre-game drinking and barbecuing in the parking lot outside of Regina's Mosaic Stadium with a new bill introduced today. Roughriders president Craig Reynolds says it would give fans another way to celebrate.
Certainly the entire experience is what we're looking for, the sights, the sounds, the smells, allowing people to properly tailgate, whether that's, bringing their barbecues and cooking and listening to music and having a great pregame experience.
The province says rules need to be developed and a permit would also be required. The Toronto Blue Jays are one win away from their first World Series championship since 1993 after they handedly defeated the Los Angeles Dodgers last night 6-1. Blue Jays pitcher Trey Savage was a force of nature, netting a World Series rookie record 12 strikeouts. Blue Jays veteran pitcher Max Scherzer says his team is ready to finish the job.
Oh, we're going to enjoy ourselves tonight, obviously, but we know, we kind of been in these situations where the series can change. We understand that. We've been there. We know what it's like. It's going to be a different environment there now back at the Rogers Center. And we just got to take care of business. We just got to go 1-0. We got to keep the same mentality and play the game that we always play.
The Blue Jays will have a chance to close out the series at home tomorrow night. Kevin Gausman is expected to start for the Jays. The Dodgers are expected to counter with their ace Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who pitched a complete game against the Blue Jays in Game 2. The Dodgers are currently favorites over the Blue Jays in Game 6. Toronto are favored to win the series. The first pitch is set for 5 p.m. The Vancouver Canucks are down south tonight for a matchup in St. Louis against the Blues. The Blues are one of the teams looking up at the Canucks in the standings, sitting only 3 points behind. The Canucks will be shorthanded with captain Quinn Hughes and star forward Connor Garland both missing the trip due to injuries. Vancouver will be looking to get their record back to 500 after dropping their last game 2-0 to the middling New York Rangers. With a win tonight, the Canucks will once again be tied with the Chicago Blackhawks for the final wildcard spot in the Western Conference. Puck drop is set for 5 p.m. The Canadian Football League announced today that 6 BC Lions players have been named to the West Division All-CFL team for 2025. The 6 players included quarterback Nathan Rourke, receiver Justin McInnes, and defensive end Matthew Betts. Rourke was also named a finalist for the CFL's George Reed Award for Most Outstanding Player. The Lions are set to play in the semifinals of the Grey Cup playoffs on Saturday, where they open up as 5-point favorites against the Calgary Stampeders. The game is set to take place at BC Place for a 2:30 kickoff. The Baltimore Ravens are set to visit the Miami Dolphins tonight on Thursday Night Football. The game will mark the return of Ravens superstar quarterback Lamar Jackson, who has been sidelined for 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. These teams each come into tonight with 2 wins through 8 weeks, a far cry from their preseason expectations, particularly the Ravens, who came into the season as a top Super Bowl favorite. Kickoff is set for 5:15. 11 games on the NHL slate tonight, including 5 Canadian teams. Ottawa entertains Calgary, Winnipeg faces Chicago, Vancouver visits St. Louis, and Edmonton hosts the New York Rangers. Toronto was the only team in action last night, falling 6-3 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Showers are expected over the weekend, with the worst of it projected to come down tomorrow night. Thank you for tuning in to your 3 o'clock news report. I've been Elijah Ford for BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
When I tell people that I studied journalism, they immediately say, oh, you want to be a reporter. But I think, in my case personally, I really want to go into magazines, PR, social media, and I think here at school we learn a lot of skills that allow you to go into that world, because you learn how to write for social media, social content, for websites,